Hey all, this is Joel Stewart, and I'm here this evening to conduct my first fly tying demo. I've been tying flies since I was about 5 or 6 years old, so that puts it at 1970 or 71 or 72 or so. Anyway, for that I thought for the first time I attempted this, I would go a little bit of old school. So I'm going to tie what I consider my signature, almost kind of a namesake fly. It's a local pattern in central Montana. That it's one of the first flies I learned how to tie, and I've caught a lot of fish on it. It's a very simple fly. So with that said, we're going to kind of get right into it. This fly only requires 3 materials. First off, our hook. Now I'm tying on a size 10 here, but it's a 2 extra long. It's a Mustad 9671 hook. As you can see, I went old school. This box of hooks is from the 70s, and there's a price, $3 a hundred. Got some 3/0 mono here. I even found my old Wiss quick clips. I found these long before the Jack Dennis Trout Flying Volume 2 came out. I saw these in a fabric store with my mom and thought they'd be perfect for commercial tying. So I picked them up, and lo and behold, Jack Dennis came out and said, hey, these are really great things, particularly for working with deer hair. The other thing we need for this fly is yellow chenille. Now you can use some other stuff. I again went old school. There you go, a pack of Wapsi yellow chenille for 40 cents. We're gonna need deer hair. Now, I was really fortunate growing up. The store that I tied for, the store where my father worked, had a taxidermy shop in the back. So I had my pick of whatever I wanted from almost any North American big game animal. You name it, I have it. But the deer, I kind of learned my different textures of deer. So this is mule deer hair, but it's early season and it's from the shoulder, and it's a little shorter because it's early season, and it's fine. It doesn't have all the under fur, and it's not as hollow, and so it's not going to roll, but that's not what I'm trying to do with the hair. So. And then the last thing we need is grizzly hackle. And again, I found a neck that I have been using since probably the late 70s, early 80s. So it's getting a little sparse, but I did find a feather we could use for this tonight. So we're gonna get started here. Lay down a thread base. Pretty basic stuff, but a well-constructed fly, and this particular fly, if well-constructed, can last almost the entire day. I've had some of these flies in this pattern that have literally lasted me 30 fish. It gets a little chewed up, a little ratty looking, but the fish just seem to hit it all that much more. So I've stripped a little bit of fluff off the end of the chenille, exposed the 2 center strands, and we're just going to tie that in right back here. Work my thread forward and stop it. You can see I left myself some room there. We're going to build the head and all that, but just wrap the body forward. For those that are really paying attention on how old school I went, you may notice I actually dug out my Thompson vise. So I'm tying with 3/0 monocord, which is what I had available in the 70s. There were other threads, but this is the kind of 3/0 mono was what you tied everything bigger than about a size 10. You use 3/0 mono for. So I wrapped the chenille forward, just even wraps, worked it up the shank. And now I'm going to get a clump of deer hair here. So we're just picking some deer hair out. And a little bunch about like that. Perhaps that's why these have been in storage so long, they're a little dull. Now, we didn't use stackers, and I didn't learn to use a stacker, so I just kind of would even up the tips with my fingers a little bit, and that's okay. Bugs have, natural taper to them. Stacking the tail helps a dry fly that you're going to have it sit in the surface tension of the water, but the tail on this fly is actually kind of an extension of the body. So we've got the hair ends pulled out. We're just going to lay it across the back of the hook, have enough of a little tail poking out back there, and we're going to secure it with a couple of wraps up front and cinch it down. I don't want it to roll. I want it to all sit on top of the fly. And then I'm going to keep it pinched, and I'm going to take 3 wraps going back, evenly spaced. 1, 2, 3, and then tie the tail off. Cinching the tail down, give it a little flare back there, and then I'm going to bring my thread back. And this gives the fly the telltale crisscross pattern that makes it easily recognizable. A couple of wraps. Trim the butts off there. All right, I'm going to have to go back to scissors here. My old school clippers probably need a blade change. I haven't used them in decades, so. I'm tapering the deer hair because what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it down with just a few wraps and build a nice evenly tapered underline. And the hackle, now this is not a super stiff dry fly hackle. It's a little webby. It's got a little texture to it, and that's okay. That's kind of what we want. So I'm going to strip off some of the webbing, not all of it. Get that tied in. And I tie it curve or shiny side down. And then because I want to ensure I get all that hackle worked in, I'm going to use a pair of hackle pliers. Don't have to, and when I was tying commercially I didn't. And then we're just going to start wrapping this hackle in. Very simple, very easy fly. Back when I was really going at this, working it back and forth to work those fibers in. Getting it back up and secure that with a couple of wraps. Good wraps to hold it down, whip finish to end it. And there you have what is affectionately known by old school Montana fly fishers as a Krazy Goof. Now, we haven't talked about what this fly does, but I think it represents mostly a grasshopper, but it just looks buggy and good to eat. You can grease it up, fish it dry, let it sink, fish it below the film, drift it like a streamer. You can do a lot of stuff because if it's a grasshopper, it's got a lot of action in the water, so you can impart that action in this fly and get out there. So again, I want to go a little old school tonight for my first video. We'll see how this works out. We'll see what happens when we upload it. But I want to thank my friend Captain Ron Ratliff down in Houma, Louisiana of Marsh Dawn Charters. He challenged Fly Tires to get some of these videos out and make them. I thought I'd offer, at least for my first video here, something a little old school. I'm going to kind of stick with some old school flies here to begin with and revive some patterns that are simple, they're easy, and they catch fish. So hopefully you got something out of this. If not, we'll see what the next video has for you.